Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 174, Mountain Time. The episode begins with Ash and the gang, you guessed it, in a mountain valley. Whoa, no way, I could never have guessed by the title. Ash and the gang had stopped to admire the awesome mountain view. However, the fresh mountain air was giving Ash and Pikachu plenty of energy as they yelled out their names to hear their echoes and proceeded to run off. Brock and Misty were annoyed at first, though they realized that Ash really couldn't be blamed here because the mountain air was just so fucking good. As Ash and Pikachu were running, they encounter a mysterious flying Pokemon, which Ash's Pokedex identifies as a Ledian, the evolved form of Ladybug. They eagerly follow it. Although as Ash and Pikachu round a corner to catch up with the Ledian, all three of them are then blown down by a huge-ass gust, which was revealed to come from a man and his son with their Pidgeotto, who was using Gust. Just then, Brock and Misty show up and help Ash back up, as the father and his son apologize and state that what they were trying to do was they were trying to create a huge gust in order to train the Ledian to fly in harsh conditions. Although we're disappointed because Ledian had obviously failed to do so, as it had fallen down from the gust as well, not just Ash and Pikachu. The boy then reveals that his name was Benji, and invites Ash and the gang over to him and his father's cabin so they can explain more. When they get there, Benji and his dad essentially explain that they were the Mountain Patrol, an organization responsible for protecting and preserving the mountain, which explained why they wanted to teach Ledian how to fly in harsh conditions, because they knew that the Ledian wouldn't be able to survive otherwise, and if the Ledian died, then they would be fired from their jobs. Before Ash and the gang can inquire anything further, the dad then apologizes, as he has to go to one of the villages down near the mountain and go protect it from something, so he excuses himself, telling Benji to stay behind with Ash and the gang, leaving him in charge and giving Ash and the gang permission to stay at his cabin for as long as they wanted. Damn, that's nice of him. Despite being put in charge, Benji didn't want to have to watch over Ash and the gang. I mean, for one, he was younger than them, and he stated that he had more important things to do, such as teaching the Ledian how to fly properly in the strong winds. And Ash and the gang agree with this. They're like, yeah, we get it, bro. We'll even watch you train the Ledian. We want to see this. Benji decides to go to a calm spot in the mountain, and instead of focusing on surviving powerful wind gusts at first, Benji decides that it'd be best to have Ledian warm up a little bit by simply practicing its general speed. So he pulls out a stopwatch to begin timing how long it takes the Ledian to fly from one end of the mountain to the other. However, despite this, the Ledian gets caught in a wind gust and is blown down. Benji was obviously confused, because it was usually only Pidgeotto's gust that could create a wind gust that strong, but Pidgeotto was with his father. He wasn't out here. All it takes is a little investigating of the source of the wind, and they eventually find, after going up the mountain a little bit, Team Rocket in a machine. Specifically, a vacuum cleaner device that was trying to suck up Pokemon. Team Rocket instantly does their motto, and reveals their plan to capture Pokemon using their vacuum machine, which was essentially what was causing the wind gust, because, you know, a vacuum sucking things up gave off a similar power. They reveal that the machine was called the Gust Attack Blowing Vac, and use its powers to blow away Ledian and suck up Pikachu and Togepi. Ledian tries its best to intervene, but it simply gets blown away yet again. Essentially, Meowth was able to change the machine's flow at will, so it could go from blowing things away to sucking things up almost instantly. You just had to change the direction of the flow. Anyways, with Pikachu and Togepi captured, Team Rocket begins to make their getaway in the balloon. However, some real winds then happen, causing the balloon to be blown off course. Benji is the first to notice that Team Rocket's balloon being blown off course was resulting in it heading towards spikes on the mountain, which could absolutely decimate the balloon. So, Ash and the gang jump in and try to help, wanting to save Pikachu and Togepi. But Benji instructs them to stop, stating that this was a job better for his father, and goes to get him instead. Ash and the gang obviously insist on going, arguing that they would get there a lot faster, but Benji states that they would just end up getting lost, because they didn't know their way around the mountain. Ash and the gang still insist, so Benji agrees on a compromise. He would contact his father over the phone to let him know the situation so he could start making his way back, but he would help Ash and the gang find their way across the mountain so that they could go there in person. With that, Ash and the gang agreed, and Benji went to contact his father before shortly returning, and they set off. Meanwhile, as for how Team Rocket was doing being blown away by the winds, they had indeed ended up on a sharp spot in the mountain, surrounded by several sharp cliffs. Ironically, the cliffs had kind of saved them from the winds, as the cliff had now got caught on the balloon and was keeping it in place. However, the cliff was also so sharp that it was cutting the balloon's ropes. Jesse, James, and Meowth were beginning to argue with each other, debating whose fault it was for getting them in this situation where they were literally stuck on a cliff, about to have their balloon cut, and ironically, this fighting just caused one of the ropes to fully break due to the movement caused by it, which scraped the rope against the cliff. In danger of falling off the cliff, James sends out Victreebel so it could use Vine Whip to potentially pull Team Rocket up, but instead, Victreebel just eats James as usual, and James struggles to get Victreebel off, which in turn causes enough movement to snap the rest of the balloon's ropes, sending Team Rocket plummeting down. However, they don't fall too far, as their fall is thankfully broken by another spiky outcrop jutting from the cliff, so they all land on it. However, the landing was still rough enough to break Togepi and Pikachu's cage that the vacuum had put them into, so Pikachu and Togepi were free. Jesse and Meowth were too busy screaming at James for causing them to fall even further due to his Victreebel, so they didn't notice Pikachu and Togepi trying to get away. However, before Pikachu and Togepi could get away, the little cliff outcrop that they were on suddenly breaks off due to the sheer force of the winds, and Team Rocket go plummeting down once again, along with Pikachu and Togepi. The cliff outcrop is then blown into multiple other little cliffs, with Team Rocket, Togepi, and Pikachu still on it, and as a result, when it bounces off all these other cliffs, this causes the outcrop to land on a piece of ground down on the mountain, which Team Rocket are initially relieved by because, you know, they were finally seemingly on solid ground. But since it was still on the mountain, it was steep as fuck, so this sent the rocky outcrop sliding down like a sled. This is going to sound really fucking stupid, but essentially, the rocky outcrop manages to slide down and collide with another rocky outcrop, landing on the very edge of it, and therefore making it like teeter on the edge. Team Rocket are initially relieved again, as it had stopped, and they thought they were on solid ground, but they were far from on solid ground. Like, the rocky outcrop was literally about to, like, fall off. Like, essentially, the rocky outcrop had been, like, severely degraded as it went down the mountain, like, shrinking it a little bit, so now it was a lot smaller, so when it landed on another rocky outcrop, it could fit on it, although it was still a tight squeeze, so it was about to fall off. Essentially, Team Rocket was fucking in danger of falling off a cliff, okay? That's what you need to know. It's hard to explain the physics. Their rocky area that they were on had detached and landed on another rocky area, which was also about to fall off due to the strong winds, okay? That's the best way I can explain it. Meanwhile, Ash and the gang and Benji were running up to where Team Rocket was on the mountain in an attempt to save Pikachu and Togepi, but the wind caused several rocks to fall down the mountain in a rock slide formation, which therefore blocked the path that they were heading up on. They tried to simply climb over the rocks, but Benji warned them not to, as the wind could just blow the rocks further down, sending Ash and the gang with them. Thankfully, Benji knew an alternative way up the mountain, being a rope ladder, although Benji warned that it had not been used in years, so it might easily break as well. Benji knew that this was the only way up to the service road of the mountain, though, so he decided that it was his responsibility to make sure that the rope was safe, and he climbed up first. Benji manages to make it up to the service road of the mountain so that they could make it to the other side, where Team Rocket was. So he clarifies to Ash and the gang that the rope must be safe, so he tells them to climb it up, and they do. Unfortunately, Benji didn't have to deal with a huge gust of wind, as Ash and the gang did when they climbed up, so this blew the rope ladder off of the mountain, though thankfully, even though it was detached, Benji managed to catch it with his hand. Just barely managing to hold Ash, Brock, and Misty's weight on his own. He was about to fucking drop them, obviously. Thankfully, though, Ledian was still here, so it grabbed the rope and tried its best to pull it back up to the mountain by flying it up, but even Ledian wasn't strong enough on its own, so Ash grabbed out one of his Pokeballs as best he could and threw out Noctowl to help the Ledian, and together, the two Pokemon were able to carry the detached rope up onto the mountain where Benji was. Yay! Ash and the gang immediately looked down at the mountain ravine that they were about to fall into, and thank God that they were safe, as they take a moment to catch their breath, and Ash recalls his Noctowl into his Pokeball, as it was not trained for such harsh conditions on the mountain. Maybe that meant Ledian was pretty good after all, if it was able to withstand it. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, who were sitting on the currently teetering rocky outcrop, on top of a rocky outcrop, despite the danger they were in, they were all hungry as fuck, and James had a secret chocolate bar, and he didn't want to make Meowth and Jessie angry or jealous, so he tried to eat it in secret, but unfortunately he was caught, and Meowth and Jessie tried to beat him up for the chocolate bar. All this fighting causes the already unstable rocky outcrop to become even more unstable, and it was now about to fall. So, Pikachu, Togepi, and Team Rocket all ran to the other end of the rocky outcrop so that they could try and stabilize it before it fell, essentially putting all the weight towards the other direction, and eventually they managed to find a perfect balance, with some of them on one side and some of them on the other. However, Togepi, being the unknowingly ignorant, dumb baby that it was, walks to the other side of the rocky outcrop, which destroys the balance and causes the rock to be unstable once again. To make matters worse, Wobbuffet then forcibly pops out of its Pokeball, and this just causes the rocky outcrop to be even more unstable and fall down. Team Rocket and Pikachu and Togepi and Wobbuffet were gonna fucking die. But then, at the last second, Togepi waved its arms in the air and used his Metronome, which resulted in a teleport this time, teleporting Team Rocket, Togepi, and Pikachu back up onto the other rocky outcrop, although now they were perfectly balanced once again, not teetering. Yay! Team Rocket are obviously immensely confused by how they got back up, and Jessie suggests that maybe it was just a hallucination because they were so fucking hungry. She then realizes that it could have been Wobbuffet using teleport, not knowing that it was actually Togepi. However, she tries to pinch him, and when he doesn't react, she comes to the conclusion that it was in fact a dream, even though it wasn't. It was just because Wobbuffet didn't react to fucking anything. Just then, Pikachu spotted Togepi, who had stolen James's candy bar and was eating it, and it was so happy to be eating that it was running around the outcrop, causing it to become unstable once again. Pikachu goes to try and stop Togepi from running, while meanwhile, Benji and Ash and the gang were searching for Team Rocket, not knowing where they went after they had slid down the mountain. Thankfully, though, Ledian was soon able to fly around and locate Team Rocket and led Ash and the gang straight to them. Jessie and James were actually glad to see Ash and the gang, as they yelled at Ash and the gang to help them out. Ash and the gang decided to do so, but only to save Pikachu and Togepi, so from the safe spot on the mountain that they were on, Ash sent out Bulbasaur and tells him to use Vine Whip to grab Togepi and Pikachu from the rocky outcrop, but Bulbasaur was too far away. This leads Ledian to want to help, but Benji was afraid it was too dangerous and tries to stop his Ledian, revealing that it wasn't his father's, but entirely his. His father had his own. Ledian then goes up to Benji and essentially tries his best. Obviously, it was hard because he couldn't speak, but he essentially reminds Benji that they were supposed to be the mountain patrol force who protected the mountain, and they were supposed to help out people. Benji remembered this and decided to let Ledian assist, as long as Benji himself could help as well. This also confirmed that Ledian was more than a willing participant in the harsh conditions training it was doing, in case you were worried that Benji and his dad might have been abusing it. Ash and the gang insist that they would help too, not wanting to be useless to their Pokemon, so together, the group works to save Togepi and Pikachu, as well as Team Rocket technically, I guess. Ledian proceeded to take the rope from the rope bridge and grabs a net as well, while Benji and Ash and the gang grab the other end of the rope. Essentially, Ledian then flew up to the rocky outcrop and wrapped the rope around it and put the net on the bottom of the rope so that it slided along like a zipline. Picture it like that. The net was essentially attached like a zipline handle would be. Ledian then instructs Team Rocket to jump into the net so that Ledian could pull it down the rope like a zipline, and Jessie and James find this out by Meowth translating what Ledian said, so they all oblige and hop in the net, and Ledian begins to pull it down. However, as Ledian was pulling the net across the rope, the rocky outcrop then fell off due to a strong wind, and since the rope was tied around the rocky outcrop, this caused the net and Ledian, along with Team Rocket, Togepi, and Pikachu, to go tumbling down with the rocky outcrop. The rock falling down causes it to cut the rope, as it was so sharp, and with the rope cut, this causes the net individually to start falling, but Ledian, no longer obligated to carry the entire fucking rock with it, swoops down to save the net before it falls. However, once Ledian takes them to solid enough ground on the mountain, Team Rocket then see an opportunity to escape with Pikachu and Togepi, as James sends out his Victory Bell and has it use Razor Leaf to cut a hole in the net, and they all jump out. Ash and the gang are obviously infuriated by this, like Ledian just fucking risked its life to save them, and this was how it was going to repay all of them? Fucking cunts. Team Rocket didn't care about Ash and the gang's dissatisfaction though, and they simply sent out James's Weezing, capturing Pikachu and Togepi in the process by putting them into the remains of the net. Benji orders Ledian to attack James's Weezing and Victory Bell by ordering it to use Comet Punch, but Victory Bell hits Ledian with a Vine Whip first, which knocks it down. Ash then commands his Bulbasaur to attack, using Razor Leaf, but before it can get it off, James has Weezing use Smokescreen so that Bulbasaur and Ash and the gang, for that matter, couldn't see anything, allowing Team Rocket to try and make their escape. Team Rocket's escape is thwarted though, as Benji's father then shows up with both his Pidgeotto and another Ledian of his own. He has his Pidgeotto use Gust to destroy the Smokescreen so that everyone can see again, and then Pidgeotto manages to defeat Weezing and Victory Bell with one Gust attack. Damn. Weezing and Victory Bell's attacks were thwarted just like that, huh? Well, anyways, with Weezing and Victory Bell down, this allows both Benji's Ledian and his father's Ledian to focus exclusively on Team Rocket themselves, as they hit them with Swift, which causes them to drop the net holding Togepi and Pikachu, therefore freeing Togepi and Pikachu. Yay! With Pikachu free, Ash orders him to use Thunderbolt, and it sends Team Rocket blasting off. With Team Rocket gone, Ash and the gang, Benji and his father, finally take the time to just relax in the mountains, as Ash and Misty thank Benji and his father for saving Togepi and Pikachu. Eventually, they stay on the mountain for so long that it begins to get a little dark, and stars start to come out. When the stars come out, this causes Ledian's black back spots to begin to glow a red color. Ledian then flies up to the stars as glitter falls from its back, insinuating to Benji that it wanted to go get some more training in, and it proceeded to do so, flying off up into the sky into the distance. Benji questioned why his Ledian was glowing, leading his father to reveal that it meant that the Ledian was well trained, and since the Ledian was well trained, this led Benji's father to promote him to the main officer of the mountain patrol, stating that if Ledian was now ready to brave all the harsh conditions due to it being trained well, his son must be as well. Benji was overjoyed at this new promotion, and Ash and the gang congratulated him as they set off to continue their journey, but not before looking up at the sky once more to see all of the glitter that was being emitted from the Ledian. And not just Benji's Ledian, but his dad's as well, who had joined him up in the sky. The episode then ends with one last scene from Team Rocket, who had blasted off onto another rocky outcrop on the mountain that happened to be unstable. Great! Team Rocket were obviously already panicking, but then Wobbuffet came forcibly out of its Pokeball, which threw the rocky outcrop off balance, sending them tumbling down. I guess it was bound to happen.